4 weeks are in the books for this 2021 NFL season, so it's time to break out every NFL team in the 1 of 5 tiers. We'll have arguments, we'll have decisions, and most of all, we'll have fun. And it's all coming up next. Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Lee.
And I'm Michael Wiley, and we're the Fantasy Football Consultants.
This is a special bonus show. And if you like it and you want us to do it again midway through the season and at the third quarter mark during the season, be sure to give this video a like. And if you haven't yet, hit that red subscriber button.
So, Eric, what we're going to do is I'm going to break down the AFC here and talk about what I think is going to happen in those divisions. And then you're going to break down the NFC. And my guess is we're going to have some disagreements. But instead of you picking on me and me picking on you, I got a special guest today. Mr. Coleman Wiley came to join me all the way from college, and he's going to go ahead and tell us where we're amiss. What do you think?
Well, I'm glad that you got an impartial your son. No, it is awesome to have Coleman on. So Coleman, give us a little bit of your football background.
Well, I grew up playing football, watching football, obviously, and I played high school football for my high school team. I was a quarterback and absolutely loved every minute of it. And I am deep into fantasy football every single year. Usually have at least 2 teams. So I think I'm a little qualified.
And he listened way too much to me, and so he'll probably have some banter there.
All right, let's get right into it. Let's break down these NFL teams. If you get an A grade, you're at the top tier. You mean you are the Final Four, meaning in the NFC, you make that NFC championship game. A B is you're over 500, you make the playoffs, and you at least get through the first round of the playoffs, making that to that divisional playoff round. A C is you're over 500, that's the good news, but you either miss the playoffs or you're a wild card loser in the very first round of the playoffs. A D is you finish under 500. Remember, we have 17 games. That means 8 wins or less. And then an F is what I call the express lane, 4 wins or less. So let's get started. We'll start in the NFC, and I have the Washington football team. Michael and Coleman, they don't have a nickname and they don't have a quarterback. I had them winning the division. I don't see that happening anymore. Fitzpatrick's going to be out for their 8 games. They don't make the playoffs. They don't make 500. All right, the team I do think that's going to win the division is, how about them Cowboys? So they win the division, but they don't go very far in the playoffs. I know that they're going to get a home playoff game, yet I think that they get eliminated in the very first round. I've been impressed, Michael, with their defense, but I just don't think they match up against the top NFC teams.
Yeah, I think it's because of who they're going to draw, but I think that they're showing some potential. So I'm gonna say that's maybe.
The New York Giants. This is easy. Well, maybe not easy. I just express lane to them. This is not a team that I think is going to make it to 4 wins. They're 1-3 now, and I think they're a step behind the 2 other teams in the division.
Wow, I agree they're a step behind those 2, but because they play all of each other, I think 4 wins or less is going to be tough to be under. But I didn't look at the schedules as much as you, so I'm a little nervous about 4 wins or less.
Philadelphia is also a team that I have at 4 wins or less. And Michael, is there any disagreement with that?
No disagreement with that, but I see what you're doing, and I remember your preseason picks. I'm a little worried for you.
So I'm making this prediction before the Thursday night game against the Rams. That is going to be huge for my Seahawks. Look, the Seahawks, it's been a long time since they've missed the playoffs. I don't think it'll happen this year. So look forward to the Seahawks headed to a first round elimination once again. So that's where I have them. I think they'll be a wild card loser. Their defense, guys, is just very disappointing. And in the playoffs, it's all about the defense. The team that I think that's going to win the NFC West, and even if they don't, I think will come up big in the playoffs. I've got the Rams. On all seriousness, they were my preseason pick. I know they just lost to the Cardinals at home. I still have them in the AFC Championship game and all the way to the Super Bowl, in fact. Someone's got to finish last in the NFC West, and I thought it was going to be the Cardinals. Now I think it's going to be the Niners. Garoppolo has been a disappointment. I have them under 500 and missing the playoffs. The team that I think that we might get people complaining about to us is the only undefeated team this year is the Arizona Cardinals. So one would think they would go way up here. I don't. I have them making the divisional round. I don't even think that they'll win the division, but I see them upsetting maybe the Cowboys in that playoff game. All right, you remember when everyone was saying, what's wrong with the Green Bay Packers? They're awful. They're just fine. I have no confidence in the Bears or Vikings, and I never had confidence in the Lions. They're going to win the division, get that home field in the wild card round, and it'll be cold, and they're going to come out and win. The Bears, I'm not impressed with the Bears at all. The Vikings,
maybe 4 wins or less. Maybe 4 wins or less.
Maybe. The Vikings are a disappointment. I really expected more from them this year. I do think they're going to reach the 4-win total, but they're missing the playoffs. So I've got them in that slot. There's no question where the Lions belong. I'm not sure if they'll get 2 wins, but 4 wins or less. The Bucs brought back all of their starters. I don't see why they're not going to make the NFC Championship game.
But how about them Patriots giving them a nice little run on Sunday Night Football, huh?
Yes. Yeah. Hey, at home against Belichick. Very impressive. You know who's not impressive? One of the biggest disappointments in the first 2 weeks is the New Orleans Saints. Jekyll and Hyde. I'll say, well, they get a C. They squeeze maybe into the playoffs, but a first round exit. They really do miss Drew Brees. Everybody loves the Carolina Panthers. 3-0 to start the season. Yeah, it's nice to play the Jets and Houston. If they could play them each week, they'd be somewhere up here, but they don't. So I have them potentially squeaking into the playoffs, but first round exit. The Falcons, you know what? Huge disappointment. And that's even though I didn't have much of expectations with them from the beginning. Michael, would you change anything to this perfect board that I have? What would you like to screw up?
I think the Giants have a chance of being more than 4 wins, because of the interdivision play. And actually, I could see the Washington football team slipping down, depending on whether Heineke continue to make some plays. I could see the Bears getting 4 wins or less. I think that they're a really bad team this year. And I could see the Seahawks going under 500 just because they're in such a tough division. I actually could see the Panthers going under 500, even though they started out so strong. But other than that, I think you got it right. I'm still not sure what to think of the Saints. And I also think that the Cowboys may find a way to win a playoff game. But I'm going to leave it to my man, C-Dog here, to make some real hard decisions and make some changes if he wants to make any.
Yeah.
C-Dog, a.k.a. Coleman, what are your thoughts?
So I actually have been really impressed with the Packers ever since their first game against the Saints. And so I'd actually put them in the Final Four. And I'm going to put them over the Bucs personally. I think the Rams are going to the Super Bowl this year. They're the best team in the NFC, but the Bucs did not impress me very much on Sunday. I know it was Tom Brady's return to Foxborough, but I don't know. I don't think he's going to do it this year. And so I'd put the Packers above the Bucks.
I'm gonna count that as one change, even though two teams moved. It was kind of a
It was a swap.
swap.
Right?
So you did a swap. All right.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna do one more swap with the Cardinals and the Cowboys. I think they're gonna end up playing each other in the wild card round, and I think the Cowboys are gonna end up coming ahead. Even though, like you said, the Cardinals are the only undefeated team left, but I don't know. The Cowboys are looking pretty good right now. So
Yeah, a bad Minnesota field goal kick away that they would be 3-1. You have one final swap you could make. You could move the Seahawks up if you feel like I've been too harsh on my team. Are you happy with the way the board is?
yeah, I don't think there's any major changes that need to be done. I could see some teams kind of switching in those bottom two categories, but at the end of the day, they're not going to matter, right? So
are you okay with the Giants? It sounded like your dad had concerns about the Giants being 4 wins or less.
I can definitely see them going 4 wins or less, but I personally think the Bears are more likely to go 4 wins or less than the Giants are.
Do you want to swap them?
Sure, why not?
Okay, you had your full allotment of changes to my on. Now, this is when I want to hear from you guys out there, our viewers. What do you guys think? What did I or Coleman screw up the most here in the NFC West? What do you disagree with the most? What would you change around? We want to hear from you. And with that, we will turn to the AFC.
Starting with the AFC East, only one decent team in the AFC East, and that is the Buffalo Bills, perhaps going to have the best record in football at the end here, and just partly because of the tough interdivision games that you'll see in the NFC. So I see them going as high as 14-3, which might be the best record in the NFL, and they will end up in the Final Four, no question in my mind. The next two teams that will be fighting for second and third place, that's the Dolphins and the Patriots. Dolphins got that win earlier in the year. I see Patriots getting it back. They're both going to be under 500. Neither one is going to make the playoffs, but at least they get to play the Jets to make sure that they are higher than 4 wins or less. I think the Jets win a couple more games, at least one more, but they're not going to get more than 4 wins, so they stay at the bottom. They just are not good, and they have a few years to go. Here's a little bit of a controversy. I think that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to lose to the Chargers in the division, but that doesn't necessarily, and part of that's just because of the remaining schedule that they have. They do, as the Super Bowl bound for last year team, have the hardest division. But does that mean that they're not going to make it to the Final Four? I think the Chiefs are still going to make it to the Final Four with a wild card win and a divisional win.
I just heard a big sigh from all the remaining teams. You've already used the 2 big teams at the top.
Exactly. The Chargers will win the division, and I think that they probably even win the divisional round. So that makes them looking really strong after a nice win over the Chiefs, and then the Raiders back-to-back. Can't be easy to do that, and they looked really good. The Raiders, unfortunately, have a tough remaining schedule. As much as I would love to see them make the playoffs, I think they're just going to miss the playoffs or be a wild card loser. They're going to go 9-8. That's not enough. Eric, you're silly for even thinking that they're going to go 4 wins or less. They were undefeated just going into this last game against a tough Chargers team.
So I'm sorry, where do you have the
I have them missing the playoffs or a wild card loser.
Okay.
So that brings us to the Broncos, who I think will ending up in last place in this division, but I think they'll probably end up being tied with the Raiders at 9-8. So I see them being a playoff misser as well. So that brings us to the next division. And I thought Cleveland was going to win this division when it started. I still think that they're going to end up over 500, but I think Baltimore is looking like the stronger team now. And so I think that that's where Cleveland's going to end up. They're going to end up either being a wild card loser or missing the playoffs. They have a tough remaining schedule. Baltimore has an easier remaining schedule. And so I see them making the playoffs and perhaps making the divisional round because of the fact that the other team that will default into the playoffs or the other division leader that will default into the playoffs is from the worst division in all of football. So that brings us to the Steelers and the Bengals. I think the Steelers are going to get last in this division. They look really bad this year. They will win 5 games to just barely make it over 4 wins. They have a tough remaining schedule. They look really bad right now. They need to figure out Ben Roethlisberger. And I just don't see that happening. As much as I love Najee Harris coming on, their defense has not been as strong as I think we all thought they would be. The Bengals do look a little bit better, but unfortunately they have a tough schedule left as I've looked at it. They will win a couple more games. They're going to be better than the Steelers, but they're going to be under 500. They just have too much of a difficult schedule remaining. So that leaves us with the AFC South. Tennessee being the only team that will make the playoffs. And I think that they will, end up somewhere around 10-7. They'll make the playoffs, but no chance of them winning that first game, which will probably be against the Chargers. So that's why I'm pretty confident in the Chargers making it to the divisional round. That leaves us with 3 other teams in this division, Tennessee, Jacksonville, and Houston, and none of them will win 4 games or more. I think I have Jacksonville going 2-15. Houston maybe getting 1 win, but probably not. They're so bad. And Indianapolis, who just had a really atrocious start. Actually, I take it back. Indianapolis will win more than 4 games. They're going to go 6-11. They have a remaining schedule that isn't so bad. So this is how I see it. I would be shocked if you guys have anything to challenge this with, but I'd love to hear from you, Eric.
I have some issues. And I will beg the court to consider how strong the Cleveland Browns are. The Cleveland Browns, my cohort, Mr. Wiley, Michael Wiley, has always told me defense is what matters, and they have a bruising defense that's built to win in the playoffs. And so I really would like to see them swap with the Ravens. I actually agree with Michael with the Chargers. I thought that was going to be the big surprise, that I was going to tell you to move the Chargers up, but I like right where you have the Chargers. The other team that just has to be moved is the Indianapolis Colts. The Indianapolis Colts are not a bad team. And as Michael said, their schedule, they get Houston twice, Jacksonville twice, and they host the New York Jets. They actually had a hard schedule so far. I think basically they got to get 9 wins, Coleman. So they have to win 8 of 13. But I just gave you 5 guaranteed wins. They just have to win 3 of those 8. So I like them. The team that I would take away is actually it's not. It's the Denver Broncos.
Okay.
I would take the Denver Broncos. I'd swap with the Broncos. Look, they're 3-1. I'm well aware of that, but it was a lot of fun beating the 2 New York teams in Jacksonville. that was fun. Their schedule gets a lot tougher. They only have 2 easy games, Detroit and Philadelphia. This team is not going to finish over 500. That's my argument. Let's hear from.
That's not too controversial. I could get behind that and would love to see it, frankly. But go ahead.
Let's hear from Judge Coleman.
Yeah, I was actually thinking that first one you said was the Browns and the Ravens swapping. I think that once Jarvis Landry comes back and the Browns kind of get more in the swing of things, that they'll pick it up. And I really think that they should swap with the Ravens and they'll make the divisional round. And yeah, I would agree with what you said about the Browns, Eric. They got a stud defense. Myles Garrett looks awesome back there. So for sure, put them in the divisional round. It might be surprising, but the Chargers have looked really good to start the season. And the Bills obviously have looked good, but they have kind of a weak schedule. And so they're going to go into the playoffs kind of rolling off easy wins. And the Chargers are going to have to play the Chiefs and the Raiders twice, right? The Raiders one more time, the Chiefs twice. And so I think that I'm going to go ahead and swap the Chargers and the Bills.
Wow.
Ooh.
That is
Whoa.
controversial.
Okay. Do you think that the Bills just aren't as good as everybody? In your defense, they just beat up on, Miami and Houston.
Yeah.
And they got humbled by Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh's only win. Are you thinking Buffalo just isn't as good as everybody says?
I think they're good. I just think that they're going to go into the playoffs after having an easy schedule and just be riding high on confidence and kind of get shocked in that divisional round.
And I understand. I hear what you guys are saying with the Cleveland Browns, but I'd welcome you both to go back and look at their schedule. I think they're going to have a hard time winning more than 10 games. And I think Baltimore just has an easier schedule. Buffalo not winning out. I think you got to think about weather. They're gonna get that home field advantage. The only reason I might be okay with that is the Chargers defense looks so good. One, and two, the Buffalo Bills still haven't done what they need to do in the playoffs, and that's partly inexperience.
All right,
so I could be okay with these changes.
Well, we're glad that you gave us your permission. Coleman, your final decision. Is there a third swap? Are you keeping it the same?
I think we'll go ahead and keep it.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Coleman. We want to remind everybody that go into the comment section and put what you think you would change based on what we put in the AFC, just like we did in the NFC. We're going to throw on the screen the latest NFL Survivor DraftKings show and our latest show going through the FanDuel main slate, cash game, and GPP lineups. Until next time, take care, everybody.
Bye. Thanks.
Thank you.